lot of things this case has stopped me from doing, traveling all across the world, making.
So, right off the bat, the internet is losing its mind. Boosie Badazz, yes, the Boosie, might be headed back behind bars. And Charleston White? He's circling the situation like it's a buffet of downfall. Think about it. The man who built a career on chaos now has front-row seats to one of hip-hop's most controversial chapters. Charleston's acting like TMZ's evil twin, lurking, laughing, waiting for Boosie to crack so he can upload another I Told Y'all live stream. And Boosie? He's not just facing time, he's facing his past. Those old 2005 murder-for-hire whispers, they've crawled back out of the internet's basement like, hey, remember us? It's like watching history glitch on repeat. Same man, same drama, different decade. Fans are already split like a broken vinyl. Half saying Boosie's a legend getting railroaded, the other half saying karma just finally found Wi-Fi. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about charges. It's about humiliation, about how one man's legal pain became another man's YouTube content. Charleston's not just reacting, he's feeding. Every time Boosie sighs, Charleston uploads a new breaking news video with more emojis than CNN graphics. It's vulture energy with a ring light. And Twitter, X, it's wild. One post said, Charleston White praying on Boosie's downfall like it's a Sunday sermon. Another, he don't need a Bible, he got a live stream. So the question becomes, is Charleston exposing the truth or just turning pain into profit? Because if you've been watching this slow-motion train wreck, you know the drama's not even close to done. But that's not even the wild part. Wait until you hear what Boosie said next.
This case has stopped me from doing, traveling all across the world, making. So I just want to get it over with, accept my guilty plea. I'm ready to get over.
And there it is, the confession heard round the internet. Boosie sitting down, voice low, saying he's tired. Not angry, not defiant, just tired. You could practically feel the exhaustion through the screen. But hold up. When Boosie says he's ready to get it over with, fans are split faster than Twitter after a Kanye rant. Half of them are like, he's being strategic, man's playing chess, not checkers, while the others are whispering, this ain't the Boosie we know. Remember, this is the same guy who went to war with the system before, and won. So for him to suddenly drop the sword and plead guilty? Yeah. That raised eyebrows higher than Drake at a battle rap event. TikTok detectives are already dissecting every blink, every sigh. One viral clip even slowed down the video to prove he looked relieved, not regretful. The captions? He knows something we don't. But here's where it gets darkly ironic. The man who rapped about never folding now says he's done fighting, and the internet's treating it like a season finale. Reddit threads are titled, Boosie finally taps out, while Charleston White is somewhere live streaming with that smug, I told y'all grin. And don't get it twisted, this isn't weakness, this is survival mode. Boosie's been through the trenches, and when he says he's worn out, that's not surrender, that's strategy. Because when the system's stacked against you, sometimes stepping back is the flex. Still, fans can't stop asking, did he plead guilty because he's exhausted? Or because there's something darker under the surface he doesn't want to resurface? But trust me, you're not ready for who pops up next. Oh, it's getting nasty now. Because while Boosie's out here trying to move quietly and keep his head above water, Charleston White is circling like it's open season on broken reputations. The man literally feeds on controversy. He doesn't start his day with coffee, he starts it with conflict. Charleston isn't just watching Boosie's downfall, he's narrating it, monetizing it, and remixing it with a clickbait title every 2 hours. Boosie done for. God sent me to expose him. Like bro, you'd think this man was the prosecutor himself. Fans online are saying it straight up. Charleston acting like Boosie's court date is his Grammy night. Because every time Boosie's name trends, Charleston fires up a live stream like it's a telethon for hate views. And the irony? Charleston keeps preaching about morality while dancing on someone else's misery. Like, sir, you can't pray for a man to go to jail and then quote scripture 30 seconds later. Pick a lane. Charleston White is what happens when clout gets baptized. He don't want justice, he wants content. It's twisted theater, a mix of court case, internet circus, and revenge sermon. And everyone's tuned in like it's the next episode of Love and Hip Hop Baton Rouge edition. But let's be real, this isn't just about Charleston's ego or Boosie's case. This is about who the internet lets write the story first. Because whoever controls the narrative, controls the legacy. And the way this is going, Charleston's writing Boosie's obituary in real time, one live stream at a time. But you might want to hold that thought, because what Boosie does next flips the entire script.
He pled guilty, and he's facing up to 15.
God answered my prayer.
Why?
Because I prayed for him to be found guilty. Y'all don't remember? Remember I prayed?
No, I remember.
And that's where the line got crossed. It's one thing to troll online for clout, but Charleston allegedly tipping off authorities, that's not trolling anymore. That's tactical sabotage. The internet went feral. Reddit threads were lighting up like it was 4th of July. Did Charleston White actually snitch on Boosie's son? TikTok detectives were connecting dots faster than the FBI, pulling up old live streams, timestamps, deleted posts, the whole digital CSI treatment. But Charleston didn't stop there. He took it further. Making jokes about Boosie's diabetes? Bro, that's not shade, that's sadism. Fans were posting screenshots like, "This man really made a prayer countdown for Boosie's health." It's like he turned sickness into sport. And the wildest part? He masks it as tough love. He'll go live, Bible in hand, preaching while throwing jabs at a man's medical condition. Like, what sermon is that? The gospel according to Petty? But this isn't just personal humiliation. This is psychological warfare. Every tweet, every fake prayer, every video is designed to push Boosie closer to snapping. You can see it in Boosie's recent interviews. His voice calmer, his tone heavier. That's not peace, that's pressure. And fans are noticing. One top comment on X summed it up perfectly. Charleston doesn't want Boosie arrested. He wants Boosie broken. Because the more Boosie cracks, the more Charleston trends. It's a clout economy, and Boosie's pain is the currency. But hold up, you think that's low? You haven't seen how far Charleston goes when he decides to drag the entire family into it.
Charleston White was celebrating you taking the plea deal. He even said he hopes you die in jail and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard.
And here we go, the ghost that never stopped haunting Boosie. The Marlo Mike chapter. The one story Charleston White keeps dragging out like a cursed mixtape. This isn't just an old headline. This was Boosie versus the state of Louisiana. The man was literally sitting on death row, accused of hiring a teenager to take out another man for a couple $1,000. $2,800. That's not even a chain. That's not even a feature verse. That's the kind of price that makes your stomach drop. Because if it's true, it means Boosie once put a life on layaway. But here's where Charleston twists the knife. He doesn't just mention the case, he weaponizes it. Every time Boosie speaks, Charleston says, "Remember Marlo Mike?" Like a ghost haunting every victory. Reddit sleuths have entire timelines mapped out. The trial, the confessions, the retractions, the interviews. And even though Boosie was acquitted, Charleston refuses to let that acquittal breathe. He keeps pushing the "he got away with it" narrative, fueling conspiracy TikToks, messy podcasts, and every hip-hop exposed channel hungry for clicks. And let's be real, hip-hop history never forgets. Boosie's 2012 acquittal was supposed to be his redemption arc. Instead, Charleston's trying to rewrite it as a prequel to his downfall. It's classic internet logic. Why let a man grow when you can profit from his past? Because the darker the story, the brighter the spotlight. And now, with Boosie already vulnerable, Charleston's reanimating the worst chapter of his life like a PR zombie, one headline at a time. But wait, that's not even the part that has fans losing sleep. What happens next might just determine Boosie's entire future.
When you had a 15-year-old hitman, nigga, murder black people. Who next, Boosie?
And that's the final twist. The internet has turned Boosie versus Charleston into a culture war. It's no longer about guilt or innocence. It's about what story people want to believe. In one corner, you've got Boosie's ride or dies. People who grew up on his music, saw him beat the death penalty, watched him survive every scandal like a living meme of resilience. To them, he's the system's ultimate glitch, a man who refuses to lose. In the other corner, Charleston's cult following swears he's the truth teller the industry needed, the guy brave enough to say what the blogs won't. But let's be real. Bravery looks different when it comes with a merch link and a live stream countdown to another man's downfall. Podcasts, clubhouse rooms, even barbershop debates, everyone's got a take. Boosie's the last real one left. Nah, Charleston just exposing the hypocrisy. Both of them need therapy and a group chat. And if Boosie actually ends up serving close to 10 years, imagine the chaos. daily reaction clips, think pieces, hashtags like hashtag pray for Boosie versus hashtag CW. Was right. The web will turn it into a 24/7 content farm. But the truth underneath all this noise? It's about legacy. Does Boosie get remembered as a survivor who outsmarted the system? Or as another cautionary tale who let the trolls win? Maybe that's the question we should be asking. When every mistake becomes a meme, how do you even protect your story anymore? Everything around Boosie Badazz feels like a storm that just won't quit. The man has spent his life fighting systems, rumors, and ghosts from his past, but now the walls feel closer than ever. His voice on camera is slower, tired, the sound of someone who's spent years sprinting against gravity. He says the case has stopped him from traveling, from working, from living. You can hear the fatigue under every syllable, a tone that doesn't belong to a loud rapper. It belongs to someone who's exhausted from surviving. That's where Charleston White enters, the self-appointed gatekeeper of chaos. He's circling Boosie's name like a hawk that smelled blood. For him, every court date, every headline, every whispered rumor is another reason to go live. Charleston thrives on turmoil, on turning pain into performance. As Boosie wrestles with the law, Charleston turns the fight into a running commentary, taunting, joking, praying for his downfall while smiling for the camera. Boosie's legal world has been one endless loop. After years of court battles, he finally pleaded guilty to illegal gun possession. His own words were quiet. He wanted to get it over with. He was ready to move on. Some fans heard defeat, others heard calculation. Because if you've watched Boosie long enough, you know he doesn't fold easily. Sometimes, stepping back is the smartest move a fighter can make. He's faced the death penalty before. He's seen what the system can do. When he says he's tired, it's not surrender, it's strategy. Still, the energy online shifted. The internet, never short on opinions, turned his guilty plea into a guessing game. TikTok edits slowed his expression down frame by frame, captions reading that he looked too calm, too resigned, maybe even relieved. Threads on Reddit asked if he knew something deeper was coming. And while the chatter built, Charleston kept pouring fuel on the fire. Each new headline became another sermon, another moment for him to remind the world that he prayed for Boosie to be found guilty. That kind of talk hits different when a man's life is on the line. Charleston plays the villain on purpose, framing himself as a messenger while doubling down on mockery. His followers treat it like entertainment, while others call it cruelty dressed as honesty. He doesn't just critique, he celebrates the idea of punishment, filming his satisfaction as Boosie's case drags on. But what makes this entire situation sting is that Boosie and Charleston aren't equals in this fight. Boosie's dealing with real prosecutors, real paperwork, real time. Charleston's dealing in clicks and comments. Yet somehow, the noise from Charleston's feed spills into the courtroom of public opinion. When he speaks, blogs quote him. When he posts, the algorithm pushes him. The more Boosie tries to ignore it, the louder it becomes. By early 2025, fans started noticing changes. Boosie wasn't the same fiery figure they'd seen going at everyone online. His Instagram posts turned reflective. Titles like, "I got a rest," the kind of captions that sound like someone running on empty. For supporters, it was heartbreaking. For Charleston, it was open season. Every sign of weariness became proof, in his mind, that he'd gotten under Boosie's skin. He mocked the fatigue, joked about Boosie's health, even made comments about his diabetes. Lines that should never be crossed became punchlines for live streams. That's when people realized this wasn't ordinary trolling. This was psychological warfare. The alleged moment Charleston claimed to have tipped off authorities about Boosie's son Tootie's arrest made it all too real. Social media turned detective overnight, digging up receipts, cross-referencing clips. Whether it was true or not didn't even matter. The rumor itself became another weight Boosie had to carry. And through it all, Charleston stayed in front of a camera, calling it divine justice. He'd talk about faith while taunting a man's failing health, turn empathy into entertainment, and blur the line between activism and antagonism. His followers called it truth-telling. To everyone else, it looked like obsession. Boosie's response stayed measured. He acknowledged Charleston's comments during interviews but refused to bite. When asked about the hateful remarks, he simply said he'd heard them and left it there. That silence spoke louder than any diss track could. It was the silence of a man who's been through enough battles to know that reacting gives power. Still, the restraint only encouraged Charleston to push harder, like he needed Boosie to break just to validate his own relevance. The feud, though, didn't start here. It stretches back to 2022, when Boosie called out Kanye West's White Lives Matter shirt during Paris Fashion Week. He said it disrespected black culture, that it was an insult to everything he stood for. Charleston flipped that moment into an attack on Boosie, calling him hypocritical for criticizing anyone. That's when the cultural argument turned personal. From there, Charleston aimed at Boosie's family, Tootie, King Harris, even Ty's kid. He insulted them publicly, said things that were beyond commentary, even claimed he'd see them behind bars. Every insult felt like another calculated strike. He knew how to twist the knife for maximum reach. On social media, he'd stage countdowns, fake prayers, mocking videos that blurred the line between humor and cruelty. To him, it was strategy. To Boosie, it was another trap to stay out of. As months passed, Charleston's influence grew. He figured out the algorithm. He understood that outrage moves faster than facts. Each provocation made him trend. Each video earned thousands of comments debating his motives. Even major interviewers like Vlad had to step in, reacting to his rants, turning him into a regular talking point on hip-hop platforms. And while Boosie was trying to focus on his own defense, the internet kept replaying his past. Charleston constantly revived the name Marlo Mike, the teenager once accused of carrying out a hit for Boosie back in 2005. It's the darkest chapter in Boosie's history, one he already faced in court, one he was acquitted of. But Charleston drags it up like it never ended, repeating it until it sounds current again. That case was no small story. It nearly cost Boosie his life. Prosecutors tried to put him on death row, saying he'd paid Marlo Mike $2,800 to kill Terry Boyd in a Baton Rouge turf dispute. The state's evidence hinged on shaky testimony and confessions that fell apart under cross-examination. Boosie's attorney dismantled the case, and after almost 5 years behind bars, Boosie walked free. His acquittal should have been closure. Instead, it became Charleston's favorite weapon. Every time Boosie's name trends, Charleston brings the murder-for-hire story back up, implying that the acquittal was luck, not justice. He tells his audience that the ghosts of 2005 still follow Boosie, and that karma doesn't forget. Those words echo across TikTok, in Twitter threads, in podcast debates. The more he says it, the more people believe it, until Boosie's fighting a battle on two fronts, one in court, one in the cloud. Behind all the spectacle, the legal stakes are brutal. His plea deal recommends a short sentence, about 2 years, but the federal firearms charges still carry a maximum of 15. It means even if the plea goes smoothly, prosecutors could still push for a decade behind bars. Imagine that. 10 years gone at the height of his career. No tours, no family time, no stage lights. Just a man staring at concrete walls while the world debates his legacy. Supporters call Boosie a survivor, someone who's beaten impossible odds before. They remember him facing the death penalty, sitting through false allegations, walking out stronger each time. To them, he represents resilience. To others, especially those in Charleston's echo chamber, he's a symbol of unpunished wrongdoing. They call Charleston brave for saying what others won't. The truth sits somewhere in between, tangled in bias, loyalty, and noise. Online, the division is loud. Clubhouse rooms argue all night. Podcasts turn the feud into episodes. Barbershops debate if Boosie's plea was wisdom or weakness. And while everyone's arguing, Charleston White celebrates like he's just won a championship. For him, Boosie's struggle is proof that he's exposed the fake. For Boosie, it's one more test of how much he can endure before the system and the internet tear him apart. At its core, this isn't just another hip-hop rivalry. It's a collision of survival, ego, and image. Every action Boosie takes now defines whether he's remembered as the system's ultimate survivor or as another celebrity who cracked under pressure. Every live stream Charleston posts tests how far an audience will go for spectacle. The tragic irony is that both men feed off the same spotlight. Boosie needs attention to keep his career alive. Charleston needs it to keep his platform alive. One fights for legacy, the other for relevance, and both end up trapped in the same digital loop. In the end, the story isn't about guilt or innocence. It's about how the internet decides who gets to be the hero and who becomes the villain. Boosie's fighting for more than freedom. He's fighting to control his narrative in a world where one viral clip can rewrite history. So the question that hangs over all of it, when a man's pain becomes another man's content, who really wins? If you've watched this far, drop your take below. Is Charleston White holding Boosie accountable or just cashing in on chaos? And don't go anywhere. Click the next video on your screen for more of the stories that the industry doesn't want you to hear, the scandals, the betrayals, the moments that expose how fame really works behind the scenes. See you in the next one.